Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. I decided to actually deal with this little plant today. Lolly sticks. Love the lolly sticks. This is my Aerangis citrata. Recent acquisition. Always destined to be mounted. Now, some of these roots have gone, so they will need trimming off. But we'll get it out of the pot. Gubbins, paraphernalia, whatever you want to call it, 70% rubbing alcohol in there for the scissors. I've used those scissors today cutting flower spikes, on other plants and things. So before I mess with roots and things on this plant, we'll start with them clean. That's my hydrogen peroxide, 3%. That will be to give the base of the plant and the roots a spray before I mount it, on the grounds that I don't know what's in that pot. There could be things living in there, and quite honestly there shouldn't be anything living in there except for the plant. So that'll deal with anything that's non-plant like. I've got my fishing line that I'll be used to tying. I haven't got my mount yet because until I get it out and see the extent of what roots are left, I don't know how big the mount needs to be. The plant's not going to get a huge amount bigger than that. But the first thing I do need to do is get the flower spikes off. They have served their purpose. So we'll nip them off before they fall off, basically. Back in there for a minute or two. Right, so let's see what we've got then. I know that some of these roots, some of the viable ones, have actually gone down through the, well, one of them has gone down through the bottom of the pot. Now, whether that will pull back out, who knows? It'll probably break. Nope. Right. So, quite large, chunky bark that's seen better days, basically. Look, it's just falling apart. Okay. So, either it wasn't good bark to start with, or it was, and it's lasted a nice long time, but either way, it is now X-bark. Right. Now, as far as these roots are concerned, the difference between the good roots is a simple matter of a gentle squeeze. See, that root feels nice and firm, there's no give in it at all. However, that one has ceased to be. So, process of elimination then. Roots that are obviously dead can come off now. What I don't know about this plant is that if the top part of a root is viable, like that, but at some point it got kinked and the bottom parts died, I don't know whether it's capable of branching, but I will give it a chance. So instead of taking the whole root off, we'll just take off, see that one's gone back up to there, so you can come off to there. It's all the long ones that are coming off here. What else have we got? You're dead. You can come off. And so are you. You're dead at the end, but not at the beginning. So again, I don't know. In actual fact, there we go. That root's got a branch on it. I only need to see one, and I then know it's capable of branching, so that I know that if I snip it part way back up, it's highly likely to branch. Again, that one, the end's gone on that one. Probably just nothing more than got too dry. And that one, the end's gone. And these little things here, these tatty little bits like this serve no purpose, so they can just get trimmed. As close to the base as I can. There we go. You know, I mean, they're obviously dead, and if I put them in amongst the new moss that it's going to get, all they're going to do is die some more. You know what I mean? They'll start to decompose and possibly cause problems down the line. I think that is about it. Yeah, I don't think I'll take any more off. I've got there's a feeling to them. They're sort of dry and crinkly. Oh, I missed one. There's another one there. You can go. Where'd you go? Right, so what's left has got some viability. Yeah, there's some firmness in those. Right, now I know that plant's going that way up on the mount, not that way up. If I try and put it that way up, the leaves are facing away from the light. And most plants don't photosynthesize underneath, they photosynthesize on the top. So he'll go like that, so that all of his roots, roots will face upwards, but so will the leaves. The leaves will point up to the light. And if it wants to gently curve as it grows, and hopefully the leaves get a bit bigger as it grows, it will do so as it extends. Monopodial. I don't know whether this type of Aerangis is prone to kikis. Some of them are. Some of them produce little plantlets near the base, and then they grow on into full-size plants, which strictly speaking is not a kiki. There is a difference. Okay, right, I now know what size mount I want. Small. So I will go and get that, and as I always say, I'll be back. Just thought I'd show you that, mainly because I've just got it out because I want to look this plant up. This is, I don't plug people, but this is an authoritative book on the Aerangis genus. A whole book, that thick, on this genus, and it's not a big genus. Isabelle Lacroix. And basically it's got a big section at the beginning about plants, and it's got some lovely pictures of habitats and things. It's nice to see where plants come from, even if they do grow on the side of the road. Yeah? Anyway, this plant's divided up into 3 sections, and the first section in alphabetical order is the African ones. So it's not in that section, which means it's going to be in the Madagascan section. As I said, they're in alphabetical order as they go through, so if you don't find it in the first section, then you just whiz through to the next section and hopefully it'll be in there. Except for my alphabet's not very good, I'm hopeless. Come on, start with A again. Oh, I got that one. Should go back to A any minute. Here we go. Right, so this is the Madagascan orchids, endemic, I think is the expression. There we go. Citrata. What does it say then? This distinctive little species was first described, yeah, that's history, blah blah blah. We don't need to know who found it and all that sort of stuff. I need to know how to look after it. You get a good description of what it looks like. Its typical size is handy to know. Yeah, so when it gives you the leaf sizes and things like that of a mature blooming size plant, and your leaves are only half that size, yours is probably not ready to bloom yet. So there's some good information in the description. Habitat: epiphytic on small branches and twigs of small trees in humid evergreen forest, often amongst moss. Okay, so as far as what it hangs on to branches and twigs. Yeah, that probably explains why the roots are quite small. Things that go on trunks and large branches tend to have thicker roots to grab hold of that thing. So this, in some senses, is a bit like a Tolumnia. Yeah, if it can grow on twigs, but it grows on twigs in amongst moss. So the moss probably got there first and got a hold, and then the citrata grabbed hold of that. But the other important thing is in humid evergreen forests. What does that tell you? Evergreen forest, yeah, leaves don't drop off, shady. Yeah, so this is not a bright light Aerangis, like some of them are. I've even got one that likes very bright light. So they do vary. Okay, that's about all it's going to give me, but it's enough. It's given me the height, 0 to 1500 meters. Yeah, well in Madagascar, 0 is pretty warm. That's sea level. Yeah, so it's quite a warm grower, but if it can go up to 1500 meters, that'll take it from warm into intermediate, so it has a variable habitat. If it can grow in elevations between those two values, then I'm fine at intermediate. It's not up the warm end, it's just intermediate. That'll be fine. High humidity, you're going to get that whether you like it or not. That's how my place is, unfortunately. If I ever find an orchid that says needs less than 40% humidity, I'll have to bring it in the house. Yeah, so a medium to lower light level, simply because it comes from evergreen forests and it grows at altitudes that means I can grow that intermediate. But what else have we got? Cultivation. One of the best known and most widely grown species. Common as muck you are, mate. Like most species, it looks best when mounted. We're doing that already. But its fine roots means it dries out quickly, so if it's not possible to keep the humidity high, it's better potted in a very fine fir bark compost. Well, I can keep the humidity high, and in the warmer weather, I water daily, so I can mount that. So that's what's going to happen. Oh, it's got some pretty pictures. I don't know whether the camera's probably just going to glow on there, but yeah, my plant looks very similar to this one in the top picture, which is good. I like to see a picture that looks like mine. And the spike that I've just cut off, one of the spikes was a little less long than that one shown, but longer than that one. So mine's a normal sized plant. It's okay, it's not a youngster. And there, if the camera can pick that bottom picture up, you can see what I mean about multiple plants coming out of the same base. As I say, they're not true kikis in the true sense. So that's like a more bushy plant with several monopodial growths, but coming out from the same point. And that's a rather wonderful blooming plant there. Okay, so that's what we're going to do then. Yeah. Right, I'll be back when I've found a mount. Okay, welcome back. I found a suitable little mount, about the right sort of size, and I want the plant to go like that, as I've said, so that it, let's pick it up, so that it comes away from the base of the mount and will gradually over time curve upwards, and any young plants that come out will be down there, leaving plenty of room for those roots at the top. Now it's going to get some moss, but not a lot, and the moss it's going to get, the roots are going to sit on the moss, not in the moss. If it grows on twigs in moss, then obviously some of its roots would be aerial, just by definition. I believe that when plants chuck out roots, they don't think, right, the bark is this side and I need to hang on, so I'll push all my roots out that side to get a grip on the bark or the twigs or whatever. I don't believe roots come out like that. I believe they come out totally random in all directions, and those that can grab hold do so, and those that don't find anything to grab hold are aerial roots. And I don't believe a plant is clever enough to push all the roots out in a single direction. It's just a plant. So given that the roots, new roots that I get, should I get any, are going to come out in a random fashion, some of them are going to come out the back of the plant and go straight into the moss and through to the bark, and some of them will come out in the air and will get watered accordingly. Dry hands. Okie dokie, now what are we going to do with these roots? That's where I want to tie the plant. It has got a firm base where I can tie round without cutting into the stem or anything like that, and yeah, those roots will just tie in as I go. Yeah, I think that's just going to sit on there quite nicely. Right, something to tie with. Some of my fishing line. Now that's not a very wide piece of bark. I don't need 10 meters of fishing line to tie this on. It's only going to want probably 3 or 4 loops to actually hold that in place. It's not like it's a big heavy plant or anything like that. So that should be enough. I remember how to do a slip knot. I did a new label for it because I can't tie a lolly stick on. And you have to bear in mind a lolly stick is eventually going to break down. It is only wood after all, and a plastic one with permanent ink written on it is the way I like to do my labels. It will go round the back of the mount. I don't want to sit there looking at it all the time. Right, that's my starting loop, and my third hand will hold it in place while my other two hands sort out the tie. One day. We only get two hands, we have to make the best use of them that we can. And I need one loop near the base of the plant where my thumb is. That loop is just underneath my thumb. I'm getting quite good at getting the first loop on, and that normally holds it in place and allows me to fiddle with roots and get them in the place I want them before I pass round again. As I said, I think this is only going to want three. There's one there and one near the top. I think that's probably, yeah, that's enough. Just three loops, that's all it takes. And turn it over. Now you probably won't be able to see this, but my first loop is a slip knot and then a wrap, and it always forms a V shape with a knot in it. Yeah, and then what I can do is come round with my end, pass it through that V shape. Come on, wet hands. Pass it through that V shape, and then when I pull that lot through, it will latch onto that V shape and allow me to pull against it. Yeah? So I'm not trying to tie a loose knot in thin air, which, as you know, is damn near impossible. And then all I've got to do is put another couple of knots on. Oh, I've got wet hands, this stuff is sticking to me all over the place, so I always use a reef knot, which is right over left, left over right. What it basically means is you use the same end to tie, and then that won't slip. Yep, so that's that done. And then all I've got to do is put my label on, which yeah, I think I'm just going to cut that and make a new hole. This is where you see me stick the screwdriver through my fingers and talk about it. You know, it would be words like, "Oh dear, I've punched a hole in my hand." You know, the sort of words you say when you do silly things like that. Basically, I just don't want that label to be that big. So I'm just going to chop it like that. And now when I tie it on, it won't show. Yay! In fact, if I do it that way up, it'll show even less. If you can show less than no show at all. Now all I've got to do is get that to go through the hole, which I'm doing blind. Come on, get in there. Okay. Yep. And now I can tie that on and it will stay there and be a permanent feature around the back. As you know in my videos, when I forget what something's called, I turn the mount round and there's the label hiding around the back. There we go. Cut the loose ends off. We don't need those. And there he is, done. Okay. As I said, the plant's pointing downwards. It will eventually rise up. So as that monopodial growth extends, it will lift towards the light and it will end up more like that. And any new little plants that come out can just do whatever they want to do. And any roots that come out from the base can just sort themselves out, find somewhere to go. So that's that one done. Yeah, it's a nice little plant, I like it. Now come on, you need some more spikes. Having just had 2 spikes, its first blooming, looking at the base, it pushed out 2 spikes together as its first blooming. That's not bad going. I would suggest it was kept very well at that point to enable it to do that. Yeah, that makes sense to me. 2 spikes on such a small plant. But it's not a large plant even when it's fully grown. So there we go. Okay, thanks for dropping by. See you next time.